And we are back with week 14. No, week 13. I don't know what week we're on. The
It
week
is 14.
13. The week. Oh yeah, it is week 14. Jeez.
Yeah.
See, I'm all screwed up.
Dude, hey, listen, we're hanging until we're not even starting a 2 to 2.5 hour process until 11:30 at night. So I think our listeners will forgive you as you're driving home trying to do a podcast that you forgot what week it was. It's all right.
Yeah, in the rain, so I gotta really pay attention to driving. But I'll get it done.
Right
I
on,
just
right
when I
on.
do this, I just go really slow.
Yeah, perfect. Smart
I
approach.
stay in the slow lane and just go 50 miles an hour the whole way home.
I love it.
Okay, so week 14 is in the rearview mirror. That's what we're going to discuss. All the games from week 14. There was a lot of buys, so there's not too many to go over. We'll try to keep this one manageable. Last week we got to like an hour and 40, hour 45. We'll try. We got to get a little under that, I think.
I think
Uh,
it'll be easier this week with the amount of games.
Yeah. Okay, but let's dive right in. Right off the bat, one of the best games of the week. Detroit over Green Bay 34-31. We both did pick Detroit and got it right. But wow, that was one of the best games of the whole week. That was fantastic.
It's nice when a game that looks good lives up to your expectations because it doesn't always happen. And this
Right.
one certainly did, my man. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, and Green Bay's a player, obviously. They showed well, they showed out well here. And what do we got for numbers for Green Bay first?
Okay, so Jordan Love, 12 for 20, 206 yards, a touchdown, no picks, four rushes for 23 yards. Josh Jacobs, 18 rushes for 66 yards, only 3.7 yards a carry, but three touchdowns.
There you
Uh,
go.
whew. I mean, geez, man, what a beast that guy's been. Uh, Christian Watson, who is one of the most up and down receivers in football, four catches for 114 yards. This was a big up week for him.
Yep.
Uh, Dontavian Wicks, four catches for 49 yards, and Tucker Craft, three for 41 and a touchdown. And speaking of mercurial, boy, I hope you didn't have Jaden Reed on your fantasy team this week because dude, who's been had a heck of a year, zero catches, 0 yards,
Oh, jeez. Well, that's terrible.
and I'm
Uh,
butthurt because I do have him on two teams.
all right, so what do we got for Detroit side of things?
Okay, 32. Oh, I'm sorry, geez, I just jumped in with a number. Jared Goff, 32 for 41, 283 yards, three touchdowns, one pick. The tandem of Montgomery and Gibbs. Montgomery had 14 for 51 and a touch. Gibbs 15 for 43. They did a good job of holding them down. The Packers. They
Yeah,
still they got 94 yards between the two of them, but Montgomery was only 3.6 yards a carry and Gibbs was only 2.9 yards a carry. That's about as good
yeah,
as anybody's done against them all year. So it tells
I
you the
would
Packers
say.
have a good run defense.
Yep, absolutely. Um, the Detroit's kind of been the darlings all year and everybody's trendy pick, but this was a game that they were at home. I wouldn't say they had to win, but it just solidifies them more and more. They've got some injury problems still. That defensive line has been a problem. Um, Definitely some issues, but they're finding ways to win. This was a close game, and they're still my pick.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they proved this week that they can still be very, very good teams with all their issues. So let's see if they can keep that going moving forward. I mean, right now, I think they'd still be my pick too. I will say
Yeah,
that, yes,
until they get knocked off, they're going to be my pick. I think.
yeah, or they accumulate a few more injuries because it is getting to the
Right.
tipping point. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Um,
Right. Oh yeah.
but yeah, I'm with you. Like, I mean, listen, what else can we ask from them? They lose, like, they legitimately have lost two starting linebackers, two starting defensive linemen for multiple weeks, and then other guys in there, two other defensive ends that have been in and out, or defensive linemen, I should say, in and out, all kinds of players, man. So yeah, so the fact that they sucked it up and beat Green Bay, awesome. You can't ask any more. So that's well done on their part, man.
Absolutely. All right. We had another phenomenal week, by the way, but I'm going to keep going.
Okay.
Miami over the Jets. We both got this one right as well. It was 32-26. We did not have it quite as close. Well, I had 19-13. I thought it was going to be a low scoring game. So what do I know? Um,
I love it.
but Devontae Adams goes out of bounds, basically stopping the clock and giving Miami the chance they need to go win the game. And that's exactly once it went to overtime. You knew in Miami won the toss. You knew they were going to go down and score a touchdown. Jets weren't even get a chance, and that's exactly what happened. The Jets defense has been heralded for years now, and for the most part, it's been a good defense warranting. It's been warranted, but not this year. Their defense this year has been really bad. Ever since Salah left, it's
Yeah,
been terrible. Their
agreed.
defense has been real bad.
100% agree. Absolutely. Yeah, and they got torched by the Dolphins this week, and yeah, I mean this was a game that I mean the Jets, should have won, and they just can't do anything right. They just can't do anything right, man. It's
They
incredible.
absolutely should have won this game.
Yeah, I mean clearly, and they couldn't pull it off. So yeah, I don't know what to make of them. They're a train wreck. I'm curious to see if Brees Hall comes back this week because that might have helped them ice a game when they when they
Yeah, but that guy
didn't.
Davis actually played pretty well.
Yeah, between Allen and yeah, I mean neither of them are Brees Hall though, so I will say that.
I
But
agree.
but I'm with you. They played well. They both averaged about 4.5 yards a carry.
And
So
by
they
the
weren't
way,
they weren't bad.
Aaron Rodgers threw for 340 yards for the first time since like 2016 or something. No,
Yeah,
2018.
yeah.
2018.
I couldn't believe that when I saw that.
Yep.
I
And
could.
one last thing I have on here, real quick. They had not scored a touchdown in Miami since 2021 of any kind, and their first passing touchdown in Miami since 2019.
What in
Remember, they
the?
play them every year in Miami.
That's crazy. I hadn't heard that. That's absolutely bonkers. I mean, that is depths of ineptitude. Wow,
So, what do you
wow.
got for
Okay, so you want some
numbers?
stats?
Sure.
All right. So we mentioned Rodgers. He was 27 of 39 for 339 yards and a touch. The backup duo of Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. Braylon Allen 11 for 43, Isaiah 10 for 40 and a touchdown. Garrett Wilson 7 for 114. Devontae, Mr. Out of Bounds Adams, 9 for 109 and a touchdown. So he did have a good game, other than that brain fart.
Yep.
He's too long in the league to do that, though. So I'm with you 100%. Um, oh, and here to accentuate your thoughts about their defense: 0 sacks, 0 interceptions, not a single stat of note.
Yep. Just terrible. Just terrible.
Unbelievable, man. Over to the Dolphins. The Tua thriving continues. Love it. 33 for 47, 331 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Uh, they stuff. The one thing the Jets defense is still doing okay is playing run defense, but who cares because they're always behind. Um,
Right.
Devon Achan, 14 carries for 24 yards, 1.7 yards a carry. He did get in the end zone, and nobody else had more than 2 carries, so that was it. Tyreek Hill finally looking like Tyreek, 10 for 115 and a touchdown. Jalen Waddle, 9 for 99. Achan redeemed his bad rushing day with 6 catches for 45 yards. And Jonnu Smith, not the beastly game he's had a lot the last 2 months, but 3 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown.
But they were all in overtime.
That's right. That's right. I forgot all the I knew the touchdown. I forgot all the catches were. I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
good
So
call.
when they needed the most, you want to give the Tyreek Hill stat that I'm sure everybody heard, but it's still funny to
Oh,
say.
that he has more. What you do it because I'm not sure I'm 100% accurate on it.
He had coming into the game, he had more he had more children born this year than touchdowns.
That's incredible. I mean,
He had 5 kids this year and 4 touchdowns coming into this game.
that's insane, man. That's just incredible. It's prodigious. Man, I'm assuming he's getting lots of cards from Antonio Cromartie and Sean Kemp.
Yeah. Vander Holyfield too, right?
Oh, Vander, yes, totally, man, totally. Oh, wow, that's something else, man. That's stat of the year.
As for moving forward, Miami is, they're solidifying themselves. They're getting themselves into the playoff hunt. I don't know if they'll make it or not. I would probably lean towards not, but they're at least viable again.
Yeah.
And they beat a bad team and a bad team that actually should have won this game, but found a way to lose because that's what they do.
Yeah, perfectly put. Perfectly put. Yeah, they have firmly worked their way back into the race. I wouldn't bet on them making it either, but they are 6 and. I mean, they could. They went out. They're 10-7. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've worked their way back in, and who would have thought that a month ago? So good for them.
By the way, that game had 18 penalties.
Oh, good start.
Fuck. Jeez. Well,
Good
Green
start.
Bay only had 14, which is about average now.
Okay, yeah,
Even though that's to me that's a high, but the reality of the NFL now is 13 to 14 is about average.
yeah. I'm with you. Yep, I'm with you.
It
I,
should
I
be like 9 or 10.
I agree with everything you said there. That it is the average, and that is too high.
So we're gonna follow that up with another game that had 18 penalties.
Oh, nice.
Minnesota 42, doubling up Atlanta. Atlanta had 21, 42 to 21. We both got this one right as well. Now we're picking Atlanta. Atlanta is 11-2, and I still don't fully buy in
Minnesota, you meant? Yes,
for Minnesota. Yeah, I
yes.
don't fully buy in. Like they're 11-2. They're a really good team. I'm going to pick them in most weeks. But the thing is, when I think of the Super Bowl contenders in the NFC, I think of Detroit and Philadelphia, and that's really it.
You know, it's interesting, man, because I'll tell you what.
Maybe
Let's.
Green Bay. Maybe Green Bay.
Yeah, I think we already put them there in another discussion, and I would continue to keep them there. Let's jump right to it because normally we wait until the next week's or next preview episode for next week to do this, but since it came up. One of my true and false this week is we need to adjust our opinion of the Vikings, and you just answered that. So I'm going to say true. I think we need to adjust our opinion. They have
I
one of the
know. I think we've even talked about that in the past ones as well. That we need to reassess. We were talking about that earlier in the year about the Vikings, and they were part of that conversation. And I still haven't done it in my head. I still don't can't get there. I don't know why. I should be able to get there, but I still can't.
and I don't blame you. I understand, and I'll tell you why you can't. And it's two words or two proper nouns: Sam Darnold.
Yeah, but the thing
and
is, what kind of week did he have this week? Give the numbers. He was insane.
oh, listen, I'm with you, and I'm the one that just said I had to reassess it. So why haven't you given that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I should, but I should reassess it. I should, and I want to, but on a neutral field, I'm not picking them against any one of those three teams. I'm picking Green Bay. I'm picking Green Bay over them, Philadelphia over them, and Detroit over them. They're fourth, but they're tied for the best record.
See, after this week, I've now pulled them even to the Packers.
Okay.
I got it. Listen, and part of the reason is the parallels to this team and the first year the Lions were good with Jared Goff are kind of similar to me. And listen, it took me until all the way through last season to buy into Jared Goff. It took years, a couple of years for me to buy into Jared Goff,
Yeah.
and obviously it's pretty darn real now. You know what I mean? And I still have a hard time with doing it with Darnold, but maybe I need to be ahead of the curve instead of behind it this time. I mean, you asked about the stats. Good Lord. I mean, what are we both waiting for here? 22 for 28, 347 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks.
I mean, that's incredible.
Incredible. If that was anybody else, we'd be like, oh yeah, they just vaulted into the top five in the MVP discussion. But nobody's even mentioning that with Darnold at all.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's a fascinating discussion, man, and I understand where you're coming from 100%. And I'm still, even though I said it is
What's
true. I have to
what?
reassess them.
Yeah.
Um,
What's crazy is I can't even figure out why. I mean, other than Sam Darnold, but even getting past Sam Darnold, I can't put my finger on it because it shouldn't be Sam Darnold. Maybe it is all just because it's
I
Sam
think it's
Darnold.
100% Sam Darnold. I really do. Because what else do you have a problem with this team? They have the best, arguably the best receiver in football, one of the top two for sure. They have another guy who now looks as good as him, Addison. Um, they have a solid running game with Aaron Jones. Their defense is a top five defense in all of football. So what's there not to like? It's Sam Darnold. That's it.
Yeah, I would love to be able to just to pick confidently, but I don't know. I don't know. There's something. I guess it's just Sam Darnold, like you said.
Yeah, and it's legit. Like it's an understandable concern. It really is. It's totally understandable. Just like
Right,
my concern with golf 3 years ago was completely understandable. But here I am
right,
now looking like an idiot. So
right. But I mean, I think I fully bought into golf, this year. And last year really solidified it for me. During the year, I was thinking, yeah, he's that. So I'm like, but you know what? This is the first year of this from Darnold, so maybe I need a full season, and then next year I'll get more on board.
yeah, and listen, that's understandable because the dude's, what is this, like his sixth year in the league, and this is his first good year. So it's not like you're not crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's completely legit. You know, but the thing is, like, Jared Goff has now played good football for one, two, three. This is his fourth season in a row of very good football. You and I both just said we didn't fully accept it until this year. So what the hell's our problem?
Well, yeah. So maybe we're just slow.
That's what I'm saying about this whole thing. That's why I'm trying
It's
to get myself to adjust it so I'm not behind the curve like I was with Goff. But the second I do that, I feel like Darnold's going to just turn into a pumpkin. So
right. Yeah,
I'm kind of with
I'm right on
you.
board with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's I'm in this weird Viking limbo. But to me, it is 100% about Darnold. There's nothing else about this team I don't like, really. You know what I mean? That at least to put him in that other four team, the other three with the other three teams in the NFC. You know what I mean?
Now the Atlanta slide is real.
Oh, buddy, let's go. You want some
I mean,
stats first,
it's
or you want to
real.
talk first?
It is real. I don't remember Cousins' exact numbers, but they're still not good. And I don't. He do they? They keep saying that they're not going to put Penix in, but I think if this keeps up, they're going to have to.
But it's like you called Miss Cleo before this podcast because I'm going to jump to question number two on the true and false. This never happened before, but I love it. I'm doing it again. Um, the question is, if and do you know who the Falcons play the Raiders this coming week? So here was my question: if they lose to the Raiders, is Penix the starter in week 16?
Yes,
And I agree. And
but
I can't believe we're there.
I'll give a spoiler for my picks in the next podcast. I would be pick. I don't think they're going to lose to the Raiders.
No, I don't either. But but the fact that we're even talking about it being a possibility is crazy because the
Well,
Raiders are
yeah,
the
no,
worst team in
yeah, I
football.
wouldn't be shocked if the Raiders won at all.
And the Raiders are starting Desmond Ritter this week, by the way.
Yeah, that's another problem.
All of us Brock Bowers fantasy guys that got used to him being an immovable force with whether it was Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew, that's out the window now, buddy.
Yeah.
um,
So, so what are the Atlanta numbers, real quick, and then we'll
okay.
move on to the next game.
Okay, well, typical Kirk lately, just up and down. I mean, the first part of his stats sound great. 23 of 37 for 344 yards, but 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, he, he another week where he didn't throw touchdowns. Remember, I gave that stat last week about the last like 4 games or whatever. He had no touchdowns and like 8 turnovers,
Yes, that's crazy. Yep,
and
and
it
it continues,
continues.
man. It's crazy. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Um, Bijan was solid, 22 for 92, touchdown, and did he have any catches? Yeah, just 2 for 9. Tyler Algier, 9 for 63 and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney, 6 catches for 142 yards. Freaking Ray McLeod, 8 for 98. This guy is like a startable fantasy guy going into your playoffs, people, if you need him. Drake London, 5 for 70. And that's the stats and note on the Falcons side. I don't think we did the Vikings. You want me to run them real quick?
Yeah, we'll just run through them real quick. Yeah.
Cool. So Darnold, unbelievable. I think I said it, but 22 for 28, 347, and 5 touchdowns. No picks. Incredible. What are we waiting for, Craig? um, Aaron Jones, 13 for 73 and a touchdown. Cam Akers, solid in a backup role, 5 for 37. And here's the big numbers, dude. Jordan Addison, 8 catches, 133 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson, 7 catches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. My God.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
New Orleans over the Giants, 14-11. It was as ugly as the score indicates, but the Giants lose again, and they're just inventing new ways to do it.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible.
I mean, they're down 3. They have great field position to tie the game. And it gets blocked. Right? You got blocked, right?
Yes, it's insane.
Yes. Um, and I said this last week. I don't know what it is, but there's been more blocked field goals this year than I can remember.
It's wild, man.
There's
It's
been a
wild.
lot. There's been a lot.
Yeah, block punts too. That was a story this week too.
Yeah, but what in the hell with the block? Like a blocked field goal was when I was a kid or even in the '90s and 2000s, it was rare. You maybe as a team get one a year,
Yeah,
maybe.
Kellen Winslow would rise up in Kellen Winslow Sr. would rise up out of his cramps against Miami in overtime to block a field goal once in a blue moon. Yeah.
Yeah, like what? And now we've had not only have we had them, we've had them in big spots, game winning spots.
I heard an interesting theory about this, which I don't know if it's right or not, but it didn't sound straight up wrong to me when I heard it. That as longer field goals have become more and more common, the trajectory line that the kickers take off the foot has become a little bit lower. The angle has become a little bit lower, leaving it open to a little more blocks. And even their angle stays lower even when they're kicking shorter field goals because it's what they're used to doing. So I don't know if that's true. I don't even know if there's anything accurate about that at all, but it
I
makes
tell you
some
what,
kind of
though,
sense.
that makes sense.
That's what that's how I felt about it too. I
Because
need to.
I remember that. I know that they when you're kicking long, you are kicking lower because you need to get that power going up rather than floating it up from way underneath.
Exactly. It's the same premise with golf clubs.
Yeah.
Each
So
the higher you hit it, the bigger the angle of the face of the club is. So yeah, it's an interesting theory anyway.
I think that's valid. This game was butt ugly. We both got it right again. We haven't got one wrong yet.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I mean, you had 23-9. I had 27-17. It was way uglier than both of our scores.
We thought it would be ugly, and we didn't even know the half of it.
Yeah. Um, oh, by the way,
Yeah.
18 penalties.
Oh, well, nice. That's perfect for an ugly
Again,
one like this.
3 games in a row with 18 penalties.
It's crazy, man.
It's out of hand.
It is. It
And the
is.
Giants had 12.
Wow, man. I mean, that is just. There's no way Dable survives this season, right?
They're saying he's going to.
Oh, I can't believe it. Really?
They're saying that the talk around the Giants is he deserves a chance to draft his own quarterback and develop him because he inherited Daniel Jones.
Well, they hired him, Craig, and he went there because he worked with Josh Allen, and it was Daniel Jones was Josh Allen light. Like they knew what he knew what he was getting into. They hired him because of what they had. Uh, I mean, listen,
Nothing
if they
more, nothing more I'm sorry, but nothing more
that's okay.
infuriating than being on the highway and somebody's going 30 miles an hour in the slow lane. What are
And
you doing?
you're already in like chill cruise home mode because of the podcast, and they're going crazy slower.
30, 35, and it's like you can't be on the highway doing that. That's just as dangerous as going 100.
Exactly, exactly, and no flashers.
No flashers, just
Oh,
going 35.
if you're doing that, you better have your flashers on, and you shouldn't be doing it in the first place.
Anyway, I apologize to the listeners because that doesn't matter. Um, you were saying about Dable, yeah, you're right, and I don't know if he's going to survive 2-15, and that looks like where it's headed. Um, so it may not matter. He may get fired, but what they're talking about and what they're hearing and what they're saying is there's a chance he might survive this because they want to give him that shot with his own guy, his own quarterback. But the thing is, if you do that, then you're signing on for at least 2 more years of him.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking, Craig, and that's a big commitment to a guy who hasn't done anything since his first year in your organization.
Yeah. So, because you got to give him that first year to just get the quarterback and get him get start teaching him, and then you got to give the second year to see what you got.
And you know what? And as we know, because it's the siren song in New York, and it has been for a freaking decade, none of it's going to matter anyway when their offensive line still stinks.
Yep.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Did I give
Um.
you? Do you want some Giant stats before we move on?
uh, sure, but just rip through them because
Yeah,
it's pointless.
it's all ugly. Here we go, real quick. Derek Carr, 20 for 31 for the Saints first. Derek Carr, 20 for 31, 219 yards, a touch and a pick. He got hurt too. He might be out for the year. He might be back this week. We don't know.
No, I heard that he's out.
Okay. Okay. I hadn't heard any confirmation. That's good to know. Um, Alvin Kamara, they held him down better than anybody this year, probably. 17 carries for 44 yards. Kendrick Miller off the bench had a touchdown, 10 carries for 32 yards. MVS, 4 catches for 51 yards. Juwan Johnson, 4 for 50 and a touch. Giants, Drew Lock, 21 for 49, 227 and a pick. He also
Ugh.
ran 5 times for 59 yards. Tyron Tracy, 16 carries for 45 yards, and that big touchdown that almost had them back in the game. Malik Neighbors, 5 catches for 79 yards. Nothing else of note. And once again, no, I'm sorry, my bad. The Giants finally had sacks for the first time in 3 weeks. They had 2.
Yep. No turnovers though.
No. Oh, wait, they did have a pick.
Oh, they had a pick.
They had 1 pick. Yep,
That's their
1 pick.
second pick of the year.
Yep, they finally got another pick, dude. I should have screamed that a lot louder. I forgot that they were on that streak.
Actually, I'm not sure if they got one last week or not because we weren't paying attention.
Right on, right on. But either way, it just reinforces the overall pathetic state of that team, and it's rough. It's rough there.
It is rough. All right. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. Philadelphia over Carolina, 22-16. We both got it right, but we both did not have it as close as it looked on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and this was the first disappointing Eagle effort in quite a while.
Yeah.
It wasn't, listen, I'm not devastated. I'm not
Right.
questioning the state of
You
the
don't.
team.
You don't apologize for win. For win.
No,
I always say that.
I agree with that 1,000%. But it wasn't the awesome, most awesome effort of all time. It resulted in some post game comments here and there. Everything seems to be fine, but This was Barkley was awesome. You know, he had his 120 plus yards and played great. But the passing game, which has been up and down, was probably had the worst game it's had outside of the early season losses. And
Right. That's what I heard the chatter was about was Philadelphia, the coaching staff is very concerned about the passing game.
it's not the coaching staff. What it was is Brandon Graham. What started this whole thing, and I love Brandon Graham, and he's one of the most respected players in the NFL. So it's so weird that he put his foot in his mouth like this. He went on his radio show or podcast or something. I think it's a radio show in Philly on the day after the game, and started talking about how Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown don't get along anymore. Like it was so like weird and out of character for him. I think he might have had a couple adult beverages and got a little loose or something because I don't know what to make it because Brandon Graham, I've never heard him step out of line, and he's 37 years old and been playing in his Philly his whole career. So I don't know
Right.
where this came from,
Isn't he the
but
one who got hurt?
yeah, he's the one. He's out for the year, so he wasn't even in the locker room. You know what I mean? Like he was. So it was a guy who's just watching his team struggle, and he was upset about it, trying to figure it out, and just talking it out live on a radio show. And something stupid came out. He walked it back immediately, and everybody in the locker room is like, "Dude, everything we're fine." Like AJ Brown would like the ball more, yes, but we're fine.
Right. Okay.
Now, the big issue in this one was watching like Jalen, who, by the way, let me hit you with his stats while we're talking about this passing game stuff. He was 14 for 21 for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
And he
that's not. You got to be better. 108 yards is not good.
exactly, and he ran 8 times for 59 yards and a touch. Now, this is why he's special and he can get away with games like that.
Right.
But here was the real issue, man, and they did a good job of showing this in on the broadcast. AJ Brown was wide open, like 8 times that Jalen either stared at him and then went to the next guy, stared at him and ran, or never even looked at him. And so it was just an odd decision.
So what is that?
It was apparently if you read between the lines in Jalen's press conference, Panthers did something that confused him
Okay.
because he was seeing something that looked like AJ Brown wasn't going to be open or was going to be double covered, and then he wasn't, and he was missing it, and he wasn't going back to him on the reads. So I don't know enough. I'm not, we're not in the locker room enough to know beyond that, like what exactly he was supposed to look at on each play that AJ was open that he didn't throw it to him. But he had to be
Right.
the first or second read on most of them.
Right.
So
Right.
he's AJ Brown for crying out loud. So listen, is it the end of the world? No. Is it something that Jalen's going to have to tighten up? Definitely, because he was doing this great a couple weeks ago. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
It's almost like he's getting rusty because the passing game isn't being used as much.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. He's got to be able to stay sharp even when they're running the ball 30 times a game. So it's
Right.
just something they're going to have to polish up here. I'm glad it's happening now instead of 3 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now as we're heading into the playoffs. But
Yep.
so it's something I'm looking at for sure and keeping an eye on. But I'm not devastated or worried that the world is crumbling.
Right. And I gotta give it to Carolina. I mean, these last 5 games or so,
Dude,
they have been fighting, man. They're playing well.
I'm impressed, man.
Overall, just playing well for them.
I am impressed. And you were big on their coaching hire, if I remember right, weren't you, in the
Yes.
offseason?
Yes.
And we didn't see anything early, and I kind of forgot all about that guy. And now we're seeing the fruits of this hire. We really are.
Yeah.
He's brought Bryce Young back from the dead, and he's brought a whole team back from the dead.
Yeah. The ghost of the Carolina Panthers.
That's right. He goes to an entire franchise. Good on
Yeah.
him. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
impressive.
They're playing really well, and if you're a mediocre team, you know, nudge nudge, they're playing a mediocre team next week. If you're a mediocre team, you might get bit by them. You might lose to them because they are playing their best football.
They really have. They played some really good teams,
I mean, and they
really
just
tough.
yeah, they don't have the talent obviously to hang to really hang. But if you're not crazy talented or crazy a really really good team like the Eagles like Kansas City who can get by them even on a bad game and a good game by them. If you play a bad game, you will lose to them if you're not a great team.
Absolutely. I mean, the Eagles almost lost this one, and they are pretty damn good. So yeah, that they are
Yep.
for real. They're becoming a team you have to at least show up for.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
All
I
right.
didn't. Right,
What
oh,
about
go
the
ahead. I'm sorry.
Carolina numbers?
Okay, yep, right on. Let me give you the end of. I only gave you Jalen. Let me give you the end of Philly. Then we'll hit Carolina.
Yep.
So Saquon, 20 carries for 124 yards. Um, AJ Brown, the guy we just talked about, only 4 catches for 43 yards. Could have had 150 if he'd been hit when he was open. Uh,
Yep.
Devontae Smith was back from his hamstring injury. Huge for the Eagles moving forward. 4 catches, 37 yards, and a touchdown. Grant Calcaterra caught a touchdown, which he's always good when Dallas Goedert is out, and he was very solid. And then we go to Carolina, and I'll tell you what, dude, Chuba Hubbard is a man. Like I don't watch Carolina play very often because they stink, and um, but we've been seeing these stats roll in all year, so I knew he was having a hell of a year. But I saw it against. Now he only averaged 3.5 yards a carry in the end, 26 carries for 92 yards and a touchdown. But they were hard earned yards. Eagles
Yeah,
D
he
run defense
ran
was good.
real hard.
He
He was
he
running real hard. He aggressive running.
I was impressed, man. I really was because the Eagles' run D is really good, and they were having a hard time keeping him down. He's talking. We've talked a lot about yards after expected this year. I didn't see the number because that's a hard stat to find for me for some reason, but I guarantee you he was well above league average in that game because he should have been down at the line of scrimmage or within a yard or two a ton of times that he ended up with 5 or 6 yards. It was impressive.
Yep. And the only thing that stinks is their rookie running back Brooks.
Oh,
He's out for the rest of the year again.
what
He hurt it. I think his knee.
it was! He tore his ACL.
Yeah.
What a shame, man! Because every people waited all year for him to come back, and it was no, he wasn't touched. It was very similar to the Christian McCaffrey and the snow thing, where he was just running out wide and he just went down.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Sucks.
Hopefully, he comes back healthy at some point here. That's
Yeah,
sad.
but chances are we're late in the year. Chances are it'll be 2026.
Nah, I bet he comes back next year
Or
because
well, maybe next year. Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean Nick Chubb tore 2 of the 3 CLs in the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season last year and played in week 5 this year.
Okay,
So
that's true.
you know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Now, I'm with you on Overshown because when you tear all 3 of them, that's a whole other thing. If he comes back next year, it's a Herculean, how do you say it? Herculean effort.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. So okay. And last stat of note: Adam Thielen continues to be awesome. I don't know if he's a free
Yeah.
agent at the end of this year, but if I was a contending team and I needed a receiver, I'd be knocking on his door. 9 catches for 102 yards, and let me tell you something, man. Cooper DeJean has been awesome as a rookie, A+ rookie effort. But boy, did he get taken to school by the old man! Holy crap! I mean,
Yeah, he was on him every time, and it looked like every catch Gene was there, but he had him beat.
He had there was one where he just faked him out of his shorts. I mean, it was something to watch because Cooper DeJean can run all over Adam Thielen. I mean, he's
Yeah,
probably
I like to see
Thielen.
it though because I root for a guy like Thielen.
I do too. I love him. I have for years. When he was a Viking and the whole way through, ever since he emerged, I've always been fascinated by him. And yeah, and he can still play, dude. He can still play. He took a
Yeah.
very promising young rookie to school, and it was neat to see, even though it was against my guys.
Did
And
you hear about the bet?
oh my God, yes, but tell our listeners.
Some asshat bet $3 million to win 400,000
Incredible.
on the Eagles to win on the money line on the Eagles.
Yep.
So if he lost, he would have lost three. He would have lost $3 million, and by winning, he only won 400,000.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, it's a better return than you're getting from your savings account.
Oh, it is. That's true. But I mean,
But yeah,
geez.
It's a lot
And
of risk.
especially considering the fact that they were kind of sweating it out there in the fourth quarter. He must have been losing his mind.
Look, I was losing my mind in my living room, and I didn't have a cent on it. Just as an
What?
Eagle fan, I can't imagine having
I was assuming the Eagles were going to win it and everything, but I was rooting extra hard for Carolina just so that guy would lose. That would have been fantastic.
I would have at least taken solace in that if they had lost.
What an idiot!
Incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. It blew my mind when I heard that. That's a lot of risk.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Love it.
Okay, Pittsburgh over Cleveland, 27-14. Pittsburgh gets their win back because Cleveland somehow inexplicably beat them that week, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Um, by the way, Cleveland has not swept Pittsburgh since 1988.
Oh, that's insane. I hadn't heard that. That's absolutely. I mean, that should be impossible.
Right, right. They were going
Wow.
for the sweep for the first time since then, and they lost. So the streak continues.
That's bonkers, man. That's incredible. Wow. Good one.
Pittsburgh doing their thing, got their win back, like I said, and they're going to be right there now. I was giving you four teams in the NFC who I really believe in,
Uh huh.
and the four teams in the AFC. Pittsburgh's one of them.
I agree. Yep, they've been there for me for a long time, and nothing has changed my mind. When they changed to Russell, I didn't mind. It wasn't that I don't like Russell Wilson. I love Russell Wilson. It was just that I thought Josh Fields was playing well enough to keep the job, and you could make a really good case that he certainly did. But Russell has come in and made this team even better. They're more dangerous now, and yeah, it's I'm with you. They're a top four team for sure. They are a dangerous team in the playoffs.
They're going to be a very hard out.
No doubt. No doubt.
All
Uh,
right.
Stats?
Um, Give me some numbers. Yeah.
All right. Russell, 15 for 26, 158 yards, two touchdowns, no interceptions. They were up, by the way. These numbers are light because they were up 27-7 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Yep.
Najee Harris, 16 for 53 and a touchdown. Jalen Warren, 9 for 47. Fryermuth, 3 for 48 and a touch. That's the leading receiver, by the way. And one thing to keep your eye on moving forward with the Steeler team, it came a last minute sort of thing. George Pickens was out with a hamstring injury, and they're saying it looks like he's not going to play this week either.
Yeah, he's not playing,
Yep,
but they still got it done.
yep, and that's big. That's big because he's a hell of a weapon. Now, what's also big is they traded for Mike Williams right at the trade deadline, and he's basically George Pickens light.
Right. Right. Yeah. You got to get Pickens ready for the playoffs. Just make sure he's good for that,
Yep.
and you'll coast. Then you'll be fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And then the Browns. Jameis was super Jameisy, 24 for 41, 212 yards, two touchdowns, two picks. I mean, that's a
That's Jameis Winston.
here it is. Nick Chubb, 11 for 48.
Yep.
Jerry Jeudy continues to be excellent, 5 for 64 and a touchdown. David Njoku, 7 for 42 yards and a touchdown. And that's pretty much it.
All right. I'm good to move on if you are.
You got it, man. Absolutely.
All right. Well, in an interesting game, Tampa Bay over Vegas, 28-13. I mean, it wasn't interesting. It was just interesting. It was just good to see Tampa Bay kind of take care of business. I was interested to make sure to see that Tampa doesn't slip up here, playing a bad team, and takes over the division lead.
Yes. Yes. How about that? Yep. They have come back all the way from when Atlanta was 6-3, what seems like a lifetime ago. And
Right, and Tampa Bay got everybody hurt, and they lost four in a row.
yep, yep. And
They
then
were
they get
dead.
Mike Evans back and they go right back to winning.
Yep, they were dead on arrival, and they get Mike Evans back, and all of a sudden the four-game losing streak goes away, and they were playing really well again.
And by the way, they did this one without Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving got he played he had 4 carries for 3 yards, had some kind of back issue flare up on him, and was out of the game in minutes.
He had 4 carries, you said?
4 for 3 yards. Yep.
Oh, geez, yeah. And I love that kid.
I do too, man. And he's 50-50 for this week from what I'm reading in the tea leaves. Anyway, we'll see. I'll tell you what, though, Rashad White stepped right on in, 17 carries for 90 yards, a touchdown. Baker was Baker was a little like old bakery, but did enough to get it done. 18 for 29, 295, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. So
Yeah,
that's probably why they got 13 points instead of 3.
right,
Um,
right. And Vegas is bad.
yeah, Vegas just sucks, man. And O'Connell got hurt, by the way, and Desmond Ritter is now. It looks like I think he's going to be their quarterback for the rest of the year. Is that what we're hearing, Craig?
Yes.
Right on. Oh, and I would be remiss if I didn't give our weekly sincere McCormick update, who just keeps trying to take this job. Craig, 15 carries, 78 yards, 5.2 yards a carry. Sincere McCormick, 2025.
Yeah, man.
Let's
I'm all
go.
about it.
Let's go.
Love the name.
I do too, man.
All right. Jacksonville over Tennessee. Oh, real quick. Cleveland and Pittsburgh had 15 penalties, just so
Oh
you know.
wow, okay.
All right. Jacksonville and Tennessee. Ugly as hell, 10-6. But Jacksonville pulls it off, and I actually called this one, and this was the first one that you got wrong all week. I, at this point, had none wrong. I had a really good week. Um, yeah, I called this one. Pretty happy with myself for calling it, but it was
Yeah, good one for
ugly as
real.
sin. Ugly as sin.
Awful, awful. I mean, just brutal. I mean, and Tennessee was up 6-0 at halftime. 6-0 with 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Just terrible.
I mean, what a horrific. You want to hear some stats on this one?
Sure.
Holy, oh my God. So let's start with the loser Titans. 19, Will Levis, 19 for 32 for 168 yards. No turnovers, though, unless he fumbled, because my stats here don't show me that, but I don't think he did. Um, Tony Pollard, his unbelievably awesome season continues in the midst of this garbage he's playing in. 21 carries for 102 yards.
Yep.
Calvin Ridley, 7 catches for 59 yards, and that's it for anything of note on the Titans. Mac Jones reverted back into Mac Jones, 23 of 31 for 220, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. Tank Bigsby, 18 carries for 55 yards and a touchdown. He has taken the job completely over from ATN. ATN had 4 carries for 20 yards, and they're both healthy, so that tells you who they want carrying the ball right now. And Brian Thomas Jr., 8 catches for 86 yards, and that's about all we got in that bad boy.
And he's awesome.
He's great. Dude, this guy's put up an astonishingly good rookie year in a horrific circumstance. You know what I'd love to see? 2 rookies that have done incredibly well in really difficult circumstances get just put on the same team. Him teamed up with oh God, I'm gonna blank now. Who's the rookie for the Patriots? Drake May.
Drake May.
Those two deserve each other.
Yeah,
Not gonna
I
happen,
agree.
but they deserve each other.
Yeah. Just awful. I don't have a whole lot on this one. Jacksonville gets the win. Not surprised Tennessee took this loss. They are really bad. Jacksonville's really bad. And I just went against the grain when I normally have two teams evenly matched in goodness or badness. I usually go with the home team. But I decided to change it up because Tennessee might be the worst team in the league. So I went with Jacksonville.
Yeah, well done. Well done. I was riding Will Levis's like 3 games of playing slightly better than mediocre. and that was wrong. So he couldn't even beat Mac Jones on a day where Mac Jones threw 2 picks. So what are you gonna do? I love it. They're both 3-10, and only the Giants clearly worse than both of them.
And the Raiders, I think the Raiders actually have the took the number 1 pick from the Giants
Oh,
somehow.
did they? Some kind of weird tiebreaker?
some kind of tiebreaker situation where now the Giants are picking number two.
Well, they both stink, so they both deserve
Right. Absolutely. Move on to a
it.
game that actually did matter with 15 penalties. Seattle over Arizona in Arizona, and they kind of took it to them. Got out to an early lead and won 30-18.
How about that, man? How
We
about
both
that?
got it right. We both picked Seattle, but we had close games, and you had 30-26, and they kind of kicked their ass pretty much.
They destroyed them, dude. I mean, they jumped on them early too. It was not a close game at really much of any point. It was the
Wasn't it
closest
like
it ever
third?
was 24-10.
Yeah, wasn't it? Was it 24 to nothing or 24-3 or something?
Let me see. I got you here. It was 24-10 was the biggest. Oh no, 27-10.
Oh, okay, all right,
Yep,
okay.
27-10, and that was halfway through the third quarter. So it never felt like much of a game. The closest I guess it ever was 17
Right at the
to
end.
10, 17-10 maybe, but whatever. It was a thorough stomping by the Seahawks for sure.
So now, how many is this in a row for Seattle? Because they're starting to play really well, actually.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
And
Well,
Arizona's fallen off a little bit.
they
And
have.
is Seattle now in first?
Okay, here it is. You are correct. They are in first place at 8-5, a game ahead of the Rams, who are 7-6. The Cardinals and the Niners are both 2 game or three. What is that? Whatever. They're 6-7. 2 games back.
Two games.
And to answer your other question, the Seahawks have now won 4 in a row.
Yeah, they're playing really, really well.
There they are, man. Now they're back to kind of what we thought they were, and maybe a little better even. We'll see.
Right. Been a strange year for them. They've been kind of up and down, but they're definitely up now.
Kind of a tale of 3 seasons. They were pretty good early, they stunk in the middle, and now they're pretty damn good again.
And they might even be better than they were early.
I agree. I agree, and it says a lot about their coach, their new coach. What's his
Yep.
face? Um, but
Who I picked to win the Coach of the Year, actually.
oh, that's right. That was a hell of a surprise and good surprise pick.
But I picked him for Coach of the Year, but I can't remember his name.
Mike McDonald. It was driving me crazy. After I just called him what's his face, I had to look it up. Mike McDonald, former what is he? Ravens defensive coordinator. Yep, yep.
Yep.
Um, and they are certainly missing him, aren't
They really are.
they?
No, they're not.
All right, I love it. Did we do the stats?
No, we didn't. Let's run through these.
Okay. So starting with the losing Cardinals, we got Kyler Murray. Talk about up and down. 25 of 38 for 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. James Conner continues to be super solid. 18 carries for 90 yards. Also 4 catches for 32 yards and a touchdown. Trey McBride's awesome. 7 catches for 70 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr., 4 catches for 49 yards. And Michael Wilson, 2 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown. Then over in the Seahawks, Geno, super solid game for Geno. Nothing spectacular, but super. This is what this is what you want when you're just trying to be efficient. 24 for 30, 233 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions.
Yep.
Kenneth Walker couldn't go.
Nope.
Zach Charbonnet, whoa,
Yeah.
20,
He
woo,
played really well.
incredible, dude. 22 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 catches for 59 yards. Incredible. JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 5 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. DK, 4 catches for 49 yards, and that's about it of note.
All right. Awesome. Um, I think we said everything we wanted to say. Seattle looking good. Arizona falling off by the wayside a little bit. See if they can rebound. But I want to move on to the game, probably the game of the week, at least in the score. 44-42.
Woo!
Surprisingly, the Rams get this win. They were at home, but even with that, I have to talk about my MVP, Josh freaking Allen. Gets 6 touchdowns,
Incredible effort.
3 in the air, 3 on the ground. First player to do it in 70 years. And do you know who that guy was who did it last?
Oh, I didn't see this. No.
70 years ago?
Wait, seven?
Otto Graham.
Oh, Otto Graham. That's awesome. That's awesome.
He had this record for 70 years until Josh Allen came along.
Amazing. Amazing.
I mean, I don't know how you can improve your MVP standings in your lore, your perception in the league by losing a game, but
Yeah,
somehow he did it.
I know. Yeah, because you
Like,
want to. If you want to try and be a hater, you could try and knock him for the not winning the game, but nobody's going to buy it if you watch the game.
yeah, I mean, my God, did he sew it up? By the way, did he just sew it up right there?
No, and only because listen, if it ended today, 1,000% he sewed it up. But listen, he could go out and have a Jared Goff 2 of the next 3 weeks, and then we're back to Saquon and Lamar and whoever else. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Okay. Okay. Yep.
So, but
You
it
know
would
what?
have to
I'm on
be
board with that.
something that bad. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm on board with that, though. Yeah,
Right
I
on.
agree. I agree with that. But boy, he's definitely solidifying that case for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's him and everybody else now. You know what I mean? Like Barkley didn't do anything to lose it this week, but Allen did a lot to win it.
Yep, that's a good way to put it. But we got to tip our caps to the Rams because they won this game. They beat Buffalo, who was on an incredible streak and looking great, and still look great even though they lost. Put up 40 points, both of them did, and wow, wow, the Rams really surprised me here. But this is kind of what they do, right? They look like this, and then next week they'll go and lose to the Colts. Like I don't know.
The Rams are weird. The thing is, they've been. You know what? Let me pull it up before I just talk out my ass. One sec here. I want to see because. Okay, here we go. So they got Puka back about a month
Yep,
ago,
yep.
and since then they've beaten the Seahawks. They lost by 8 points to the Dolphins. They beat the Patriots. They got smoked pretty good by the Eagles, and they beat the Saints and beat the Bills. Um, it's a tough
Every
read, man. It's a tough
Yeah, it's
read.
every other week they win, every other week they lose, and this week they won 2 in a row because the Saints are awful and they got them the week before. But I don't know. I mean, this doesn't
Tough.
really lose. I don't lose anything in my head for Buffalo. Buffalo's fine. Um, I don't, but I also don't know how much I elevate the Rams in my head because I don't know. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
It's tough, man. I don't. The bottom of the NFC playoff race is fascinating, and somebody who we don't think is going to make it is going to make it, but I don't know who that's going to be. I mean, the Rams to me are still in competition for the best team in that division with the Seahawks, but the Seahawks have pulled it together and been a lot more consistent for 4 weeks. But they had their issues too for a while, so it's tough.
Uh,
But they are better than the Rams right now for sure. For the last month, not this week. The Rams had a super impressive win, but man, it's tough. The other thing is this, even though it doesn't change my opinion of the Bills as far as how good they are, that loss almost all but guaranteed they're going to have to go play the Chiefs in Kansas City again.
yep, again,
And
again.
we know how that goes for them.
Yep, doesn't go well.
Right. So, though, I mean, the one thing I think everybody and their brother is looking for a reason to pick against the Chiefs this year. But if the Bills have to go there, if the Chiefs make it that far, and the Bills have to go to Kansas City, whew, it's got to be in their head.
Yeah,
Fascinating, fascinating.
unbelievable. Um, yeah, let's run through some stats, some numbers.
You got it. Let me get back. Oh yeah, and there's some big ones from this game. Holy moly! Starting with the Rams, Stafford, who played unbelievable in a game where he was clearly the second best quarterback, was still amazing. 23 of 30, 320 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah,
Kyron Williams, 29 rushes, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. Puka ran 5 times for 16 yards and a touchdown. He also caught 12 catches for 162 yards and a touchdown. Old man Cooper Cup keeps kicking ass. 5 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty much it for the Rams. Bills, unbelievable stats from Josh Allen. Let's just hit him first. 22, good Lord. 22 of 37, 342 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Then he ran 10 times for 82 yards and 3 more touchdowns. I mean, freaking insane. They didn't even,
insane.
James Cook might have not as well suited up.
Yeah.
And not because he did anything wrong, just because it was the Josh Allen show. He only had 6 carries for 20 yards. Khalil Shakir, who had that real nice run after catch for a touchdown, ended up 5 catches for 106 yards and a touchdown. It looks like maybe Amari Cooper has finally fully become a Bill. 6 catches for 95 yards after that early debut that went well, and then the wrist injury. Seems like maybe he's finally settling in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. I agree.
the shoeless wonder, Mac Hollins. Do you know about Mac Hollins and his not wearing shoes, Craig?
No.
Mac Hollins is one of the more interesting characters in the league. He's a fascinating oddball, and he's one of my favorites because he was an Eagle. He was. I don't even think he was even drafted. I think he was a free agent signing by the Eagles, and he was a good special teamer and showed potential as a receiver. He was one of those guys I wish he kept, but he ended up bouncing around the league, being a special team and solid like third receiver guy. He wears. They showed a shot of him coming into the stadium that night, shoeless.
Oh, that's right. You know what? I remember seeing that.
And it was wet and it was like 38 degrees or something. You know what I mean? Like he just goes everywhere that way. Apparently the whole Bills like facility now goes shoeless around indoors and around the office and stuff because of Mac Hollins. It's hilarious. And he had 4 catches for 57 yards and a touch and one of the better afros you'll ever see.
Yep.
And
All
that's
right.
pretty much it a note.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. What a game. That game had 16 penalties, by the way.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Okay. This game spells more about the team that lost it than the team that won it. I think
Interesting.
San Francisco just kicks the crap out of Chicago,
Yeah.
38-13, and it wasn't even that close. I actually got this one right as well. Oh, by the way, we both got the Buffalo Rams game wrong. We both picked Buffalo, and
Yes.
then I was able to get San Francisco on this one, and you got Chicago. So you got this one wrong. But uh, Chicago's they're done. They're toast. They have fallen completely all out and off, and they're done. And it's time to you got to just get to next year at this point. And it was going okay for a while there, but they just ran out of steam here, and they have not been playing well at all. They are one of the worst. Like their record doesn't say it, but right now they're playing as one of the worst teams.
It's been such a weird year for them. Just such a strange season, man. I'll tell you what. If there's, it's I can't imagine a more important coaching hire that any other franchise is going to have this off season. I mean, this is so big for them. They have been just mediocre at best for decades. For
Can you imagine if
decades.
they get Ben Johnson? That would be pretty cool.
Okay, so I had a conversation with my buddy, who's a Bears fan, the singer in my band that you've seen.
Yes.
Um, and that's exactly what I said. He said he would rather have Mike Vrabel.
Okay. I don't hate that.
Now, when he said it, my first reaction was, why? But then I realized, then it dawned on me, because you have a solid veteran guy who's been a leader and done the thing, and he knows what he's already doing for sure, and he's had success on a certain level, at least getting to playoff success. So I understand where he's come from. I'm all over Ben Johnson personally because it's one of the best offensive minds I've seen in 5 to 10 years. I think he's brilliant. Um, but you never know how that translates to coaches. You and I both know with the Norv Turners of the world and all that kind of stuff. So
Yes.
yeah, interesting. All right,
Um, yeah, as for San Francisco, they beat this team that's just floundering right now. Um, but they lose another. They're just running a carousel of running backs now.
what the
During
hell?
this game, Garando or whatever his name is, he got hurt now. He's not playing this week, so they don't have McCaffrey, Mason, or him. So I don't even know who the running back's going to be. Is it going to be McNichols? I guess.
It's going to be Patrick Taylor, and pick him up in your fantasy leagues, people, because he'll probably run for close to 100 yards and a couple touchdowns, like every other damn 49er running back.
Agreed. I agree. Um, wow. Yeah, Patrick Taylor. Okay. Yeah, 38 to 13, and like I said, it wasn't even that close.
No, it was a they scored their one of the Bears touchdowns was in garbage time. So yeah, it was just an absolute thrashing. And let me start. Usually I don't start with team yardage, but let me start this one with a team yardage. Craig, you ready for this freaking number? Whew. Total yards: 49ers 452, Bears 162.
Oh my God.
49ers had 321 passing yards, Bears had 94. 49ers
Jeez.
had 131 rushing yards. Bears had 68. What a thrashing. Some
Yeah, they
individual.
just kicked their ass in every way possible.
Absolutely. Up, down, left, and right, man. I mean, unbelievable. So everybody that watched that garbage boxing match on Netflix a few weeks ago wishes somebody got their ass kicked that bad in that fight.
Yeah. San Francisco gets the win. I guess they, keep their slim chances of winning the division alive. So that's significant, I guess. But they're so beat up. They're not a real threat to anything. I don't think.
The only thing
And
this says to me, Craig, and I'm with everything you said, the one thing that this says to me is that they, as bad as things have gone in San Francisco this year with underachieving and injuries, combination of both in my mind, they're still not at the level of the real bad teams in this league.
yes, I agree.
So that's credit to them. And by the way, so I guess some people were sniffing around in the media about Kyle Shanahan's job security. John Lynch ended that very quickly and justifiably so.
I agree.
All right. Oh, some Bear stats real quick, so we can get off of this one. Caleb Williams, seven. It wasn't awful. It was just really inefficient, kind of like the Jalen Hurts game. 17 for 23, 134 yards, two touchdowns, and no interceptions. So that's good, but the yardage is terrible.
Yep.
DeAndre Swift has the second half of his season, the Bears' woes have caught up to him. 14 for 38, 2.7 yards a carry. DJ Moore, 6 catches for 49 yards. Roma Dunze, the only thing really special day among anybody, 4 catches for 42 yards and both touchdowns.
Okay.
They did get themselves a player there.
Oh yeah, Roma Dunze.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I like it.
He's doing very well in an offense that's not doing so well, so that says a lot.
Okay. Did you get the San? Oh yeah, yeah.
I
The
did,
San.
didn't I, or did I not? Maybe I didn't.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think you did.
Yeah, sorry about that. I gave team stats and then went right to the Bears and forgot. Here we go. All right. So, yeah, Brock Purdy's day deserves mention. He had 20 of 25, 325 yards, two touchdowns, no picks. Isaac
That's
Garendo.
one of his best games of the year.
Oh, for sure, man. No, he's had a couple games like that this year. Maybe three when it's all said and done that were over 300 with a solid amount of touchdowns and few interceptions or none. And then very spotty other than that the whole rest of the year. I guess his shoulder must be feeling better though. There's something positive to take from it because he had struggled for about 3 or 4 weeks with that shoulder thing.
Yep.
Isaac Garendo before he got hurt was great. 15 for 78, two touchdowns. Patrick Taylor came in, the guy that's going to be the starter this week, and although you never know, it could be some like Keyshawn Vaughn or somebody else might sneak in there and take it from him. Who knows? But he came in and did 7 carries for 25 yards and a touch. By the way, Debo Samuel is cooked. I
Yeah,
don't know if it's him as a player or the way they're using him, but there's nothing. There's nothing there this year.
and there hasn't been. You keep waiting for it, and it doesn't. It never happens.
Nothing, dude. Nothing. 5 carries for 13 yards, 2 catches for 22 yards.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I love Debo, and maybe it's just his physical style of play catching up to him, you know, or maybe it's just the circumstances in 49er land this year. I don't know, but something's off. And watch for him to be maybe traded finally in the off season, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
George Kittle, phenomenal, 6 catches for 151 yards. Jawan Jennings, who has been the guy that we thought Debo and or Ayuk would be this year, 7 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns.
All right. Yeah. Um. You get a thresher. You're going to get some numbers. Those were good numbers. And
No, no doubt, no
and
doubt.
those team numbers. Wow. That just shows the domination.
Absolute, just butt thrashing.
All right. Well, I need to get to this next game because it's getting ridiculous. Kansas City wins 19-17 over the Chargers. By the way, you almost nailed it. You had 18-17.
Oh, I couldn't believe it, Craig.
I had 28-25, so we both won this game. We both picked Kansas City, but geez, every freaking week.
Unbelievable, unbelievable.
Every single week.
It's great. Two things we've come to learn are going to be true about this Chiefs season. One, they're never going to cover the spread, and two, they're going to win.
Them and the Jets have mirror seasons, and the Jets are reverse. They've lost more uh, games by like four or less than any other team in the last like 20 years or something. The Jets
That's
this
great.
year, and the Chiefs have won more games, close games than anybody. Like it's every single week.
It's nuts. It defies all odds and logic and everything.
When teams play like this, you get you get bit every once in a while. You're playing close to the fire. Every once in a while, you're going to get burned, but for some reason, not them.
It's amazing. And it comes down to a couple factors, I think, because you have to have a lot of things go your way, more than just luck. You have to have some luck for sure, but you have to have more than just that to win all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. You know,
Well,
I,
yeah. I mean, at the end of the game, and it's a close game, and they have the ball. You have every confidence they're going to do. If you need a touchdown, they're going to get it. If they need a field goal, they're going to get it. If they just need to get a couple first downs and then sit on it, that's what they're going to do. The fourth quarter, whatever they need to do, they're going to do. Period. Stop. And there's no exceptions.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's just incredible. They're amazing. We know they have their deficiencies this year. We've spent a lot of time talking about it, and justifiably so. I mean, it's a real thing. But they just keep winning. You know what I mean? They just keep winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. And at some damn point, just like last year in the playoffs, that offense is gonna finally take off and do something. and if this team scores more than 23 or 4 points, they're gonna be really hard to beat by anybody.
Yeah.
So it's just mind-boggling that they're in this position. They're all but guaranteed now to have the number 1 seed.
Yep.
It would have to be an epic collapse.
They
They're up,
clinched the division.
yeah, they're up 2 on the Bills.
I thought for sure they were losing that game.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. They again, you could. I mean, maybe they should have. It was unbelievable.
What do we got for numbers?
Okay, here we go. So Justin Herbert, 21 for 30, 213 yards, a touchdown, no picks. The Gus Bus, 10 carries for 31 yards and a touchdown. Josh, Josh Palmer, 6 catches for 78 yards. Some dude named Stone Smart, who the backup
Oh,
tight end, because Will
okay.
Disley got hurt.
All right.
Yeah, Stone Smart, and Smart is with 2 T's.
Oh, I like it.
I do too. I do too. He had 3 catches for 54 yards, and Quentin Johnson, 5 catches for 48 yards and a touchdown, and his requisite 2 drops. Um, Patrick Mahomes, 24 for 37, 210 yards, a touchdown, and no picks. By the way, almost exact stat lines for the two quarterbacks. Um, Travis Kelsey 5 for 45, Worthy 5 for 41, DeAndre Hopkins 4 catches for 32 yards and a touchdown. And in Isaiah Pacheco, 14 carries for 55 yards. And for you fantasy folks out there, it is his job again fully. Kareem Hunt is now an afterthought again.
Absolutely. And it should be.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Kareem Hunt did a wonderful job in relief.
Right, but
But
Pacheco is a premier back in the league.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's right back
Yep.
to where it should be. I agree 100%.
All right. So just like I can't pick the Jets anymore, like in any game, or the Giants or whatever some prerequisites for some of these teams. I
Right?
can't pick Kansas City to win big against anybody.
No, no. You also can't pick up to lose.
Right, you got to pick them to win, but it's going to be a close game.
Yeah. No, you pick them. You pick them to win by it's almost the safest bet is almost to pick them to win by less than 3 because
Yeah.
they have an inordinate amount of game-winning field goals this year,
Ugh.
or
Well,
3 or less. I guess I should say 3 or
yeah.
less.
All right. Well, we both got that one right. We both got the last game right as well. They had 15 penalties in that game, by the way, and the last game had 14.
Hmm.
27-20, Cincinnati over Dallas. Um, Leon Lett, where are you?
I was waiting for
Stand up, wherever you are, Leon Lett.
it.
Um, I mean, this would have hurt a lot more if they weren't if they weren't where they are. And I've been battling about better draft picks and winning, still cheering for them to win. So no loss is going to really bring me down, and no win is going to excite me. So it was pretty ironic, though, that the game comes down to 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 them blocking a punt,
And it hurts them.
and they lose the game, and it's beneficial for the other team.
It was one of the more creative ways I've ever seen to lose a game, Craig.
They block the punt, for those who don't know, and just like Leon Lett in the snow against Miami back in the late 90s or mid 90s, whenever the hell that was, on Thanksgiving, by the way. I remember that was on Thanksgiving.
I remember too, man. Right, I was watching.
And when you block a punt, the team that blocked the punt cannot touch the ball unless they scoop it and run, and that's fine. But if you touch the ball and it gets away from you, that's a live ball and the other team can get it. That is a rule, and apparently this guy just got called up from the practice squad because the Cowboys are all beat up, obviously, and they're calling people off their couches and practice squad and everything else. So this guy just got to the team this week, and apparently he honestly, truly did not know the rule.
And how often does that happen where a punt gets blocked but still goes forward 30 yards? You know what I mean?
Right. Usually it goes backwards.
Yep. So it's
But
not something that comes up every day. You know what I
right.
mean?
Well, he was thinking, because if it goes backwards, you can try to scoop it up, and even if the other team picks it, gets it, it's not. They don't have a first down. You get the ball where there's no bad can come from it if it goes backwards. But if it gets over the line of scrimmage, then if you touch it and then fumble it and they get it, they get the first down.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's like I mean I didn't know that. I didn't know the rule watching the game. Honestly, I mean that comes up maybe like once every once in a blue like it's got to happen once every 1,000 punts or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, the
Like
only
it
one I
doesn't
remember
happen every
where it
day.
happened like this was Leon Lett, and that was 30
Yeah,
years ago.
that's 30 years ago. Exactly,
And
man.
the only reason
Exactly.
why I know the rules because it happened to my team, and they were explaining it like crazy, and all my Cowboy stuff I was listening to and watching, and everything else went over it 1,000 times, so everybody understood. That's the rule. If you touch it and don't pick it up cleanly, it's basically a fumble. Even if you're like blocking and it goes off of your ankle, the other team, the team that kicked the ball, can get it.
I will say if there's any team in the league that should know that rule, just because of that, it is the Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah.
There should be like the rules should be written on the walls in the locker room and
Well, I
over
mean,
there.
it's the same rule for any punt that goes forward. Actually, now that I'm thinking, if that's why a lot of times these guys, when they're not, when they're gonna, when there's a punt and they don't fair catch it, they run away from it.
Exactly.
They
Yeah,
get
yeah. I'm
away,
with you
and the
100.
other team, huddles around it and watches it go down the field as much as they can because they can't. The other team can't catch it and do anything. If as soon as they touch it, it's down right there. But the team that is receiving, if it touches them in any way, shape, or form, like I said, off their foot or something, the other team can jump on it and it's their ball. The team that kicked it.
Yes. No, it's a fascinating rule. It comes up very little, and this poor
And this
guy had
guy
no time.
thought, yeah, this guy thought that the rule was always, no matter what, they if you touch it, it doesn't matter because they can't get the ball.
Yes.
Only if the block is backwards. Off the block, it still applies if it touches you.
Yeah. It's a fascinating thing, man. This poor guy. What's his name? Awarie or something like that.
Yep, a warrior. He's been up and down. He came up this week, but from the practice squad, but he's been up other weeks as well. He's been kind of up and down all year.
Okay.
Um, so they lose in spectacular fashion. So we both got it right, like I said. Um, and we alluded to it earlier. One of the good things about watching the Cowboys this year was the Marvin Overshone. It
What a
was
bummer.
really fun watching him emerge because he absolutely emerged.
Absolutely.
He was a lightning bolt on the field, so fast and so good. And he missed his rookie year completely for blowing out his left knee. Did not play one game in that rookie year. This was his return year. He came back, played all these games up to this point, looked great, and now he's blown out the other knee, every ligament, PCL, MCL, ACL, and they're saying he's most likely, it's almost a certainty that he's not going to play in 2025 at all.
Just sad, man. Just sad. I hate injuries. I never root. I don't care if he's like the Cowboys are my least favorite team of in any sports organization on the planet, and I wish this guy was healthy every game for the rest of his career. I hate injuries. It's such a bummer too because he really popped out this year, man. Popped out hard. Like he looked great. Um,
He was the one.
and
Remember when was the last week or the week before he tipped the ball to himself and then
yeah,
ran it in for that was
yeah,
him.
he's had like a couple, like several really standout moments in games that I've watched this year, and he's always popping onto your TV screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Always. So no, he was super impressive, man. It's just a bummer. I hope he comes back healthy at some point, and it's just a shame. That's a terrible injury. It just sucks.
yep,
And it's one of the few bright spots for you guys all year too. So it's just a shame that he had to lose one of the few good things. You know.
yep, absolutely. And so not a whole lot to say about this, although I do have something pertaining to Cincinnati. But I want to give you. Can you give the stats first, and then I'll get to that?
You got it, man. Okay, so starting with the boys, Cooper Rush, 16 of 31 for 183, two touchdowns and a pick. Rico Dowdle, 18 carries for 131 yards. That's 7.3 yards a carry. Rico, man. Very
Yeah, he's
impressive.
playing well.
Very impressive. I mean, it should have happened 8 weeks ago, but at least it finally happened.
Yep,
Um, CeeDee Lamb, 6 catches for 93 yards and a touchdown. Always great. Nobody
yep,
really else of note. I mean, Cooks caught the other touchdown, but he only had one catch for 3 yards. And the best thing
yep,
other than that was Jake Ferguson coming back from his concussion, 3 catches for 32 yards.
yep,
Then over to the Bengals. This is where the numbers are big. Joe freaking Burrow, 33 of 44 for 369 yards, three touchdowns, one pick. Chase Brown, who I'm super impressed with. I'm telling you what, he's going to be on my fantasy team a lot next year. 14 carries for 58 yards. But the reason he's going to be on my fantasy team next year is even when he's only not super impressive there, 6 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown.
there you go.
Jamar Chase.
Yep,
14 catches, 177 yards, two touchdowns. Get out of here. My God, I'm not even going to read anybody else's stats. They don't matter.
they don't matter. Jamar is the man.
Yep.
My question to you
Yes.
is: if you answer the first part the way I think you're going to, then there will be a second part.
Okay.
The first part is if Joe Burrow was on a good team, he'd be in the MVP race.
100%. Absolutely.
And that's what I thought you would say. If Joe Burrow were on a playoff team, a good team, he'd be the favorite for the MVP
You know what?
ahead of Josh Allen.
Give me because that I have to look at stats because
Well, I'll
off
tell
the
you
top
right
of
now,
my
he leads the league in touchdowns over Allen,
Mhm.
and I believe yards. I'm not entirely sure on yards. It's something else. He leads in touchdowns, and something else. He has two major categories that he leads in.
Okay, here we go. Start with Josh Allen. 64% completion percentage, 3,033 yards, 23 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions, quarterback rating of 101.9. Joe Burrow, 68.4 completion percentage, significantly better than Allen, 4%. 3,706 yards, significantly more. 33 touchdowns, significantly more. 6 interceptions, only one more, but acceptable when given that he has 10 more touchdown passes. Now,
Rating. What is his rating?
oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. 107.9.
Right, but now we got to factor in Josh Allen's rushing.
And there I have to get his stats from a different spot. So bear with me one sec because this stupid thing doesn't show you the rushing yardage. And that's where Josh Allen makes it back if he does. So okay, so 80 rushes for 416 yards and 9 touchdowns,
Well, he doesn't catch it. He's one touchdown short, and he's still like 300 yards short.
but he's not a touchdown short because he caught a touchdown pass last week.
Also, they're even
How about that? Exactly even.
for
And four
touchdowns, and he's a couple hundred yards behind him with rushing and passing.
that's wild, dude. I mean, that's true. I mean, you're splitting hairs like that.
Yeah,
That would be a super close, like split ballot decision.
yeah.
I don't
I
even know.
just
I
thought
don't
of
know who
that.
I'd put
Like,
there,
if
honestly.
he would no doubt be in the conversation.
And I'll say this too, Craig, on the Joe Burrow side of the equation. If he's playing on a better team, his numbers are probably better.
Probably, yeah. I would say that. Yeah,
Even a
no
little
doubt.
better than they are, and they're amazing already. You know what I mean? But if he's on a better team, they might even be a little better, maybe. Who knows? But yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's I love that line of questioning, and I think he's 1 or 1A if he's in the playoff race.
totally agree.
Wow, good one.
Well, that's it, man. We finished the week.
We did it.
I have not been giving our totals, so I'm going to do that real quick. I actually went 12-1, and you
Wow,
went ten
nicely
and
done.
and you went 10-3. But you've been
Where does that
basically
put us for the season? Does that even us up?
no. You've been getting like one up on me the last like 6 weeks in a row. Like every week, like last week, I was 14-2, and you were 13-3. So I picked up a game there. But then it's 7-6, 8-5. You got a game. 10-4. You were 11-3. You picked up a game. 9-5 for both of us. 11-4. You were 12-3. Like you've been one up better for most of the season. Um, but we are relatively close on the season. I am 144-64, and you are 146-62.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
But I needed the
Man.
last 2 weeks to make it close because I got two games this week and a game last week. That's three games. Before last week, before I picked up these three games, you were up by a wider margin. It was 120. You had 123 and 56 losses. I only had 118 and 61 losses.
Oh wow. Okay.
You were up
Okay.
by five.
And
But
and with the amount of differences we have, that was a pretty big lead at the time. So, but I gave
yeah,
it
and
away
then
pretty quickly.
then the next week I won by one, which we go back and forth with that a lot. And
Yeah.
then
No
this
doubt.
week I actually picked up on two, and that's why the three, from the five makes it two games difference.
Right on. Well, that's it always amazes me how even though we think a lot alike, that's still astoundingly close through hundreds of games.
Yeah, and we'll see because we're gonna do the Week 15 preview podcast, all of our predictions again, and we'll see how many differences we have again because that's always fun to see. That week that we both went 9-5 was the week we picked every single game the exact same. We did not
That's
have one
right. That's
difference.
right.
So we
Oh,
think
that
a
was
lot
crazy.
alike, but we're trying to actually have some differences, be a little more bold in our picks with some upsets and things of that nature.
It's
So
been
make
working
sure,
pretty well too.
yeah, and make sure you guys check that out. Week 15 preview. Thank you for sticking with us on this long one. It's long every week. This one wasn't quite as long as last week, but still not, definitely not a short one. So thank everybody for sticking with us
No doubt.
for this one. And Al, I'm going to see you on the other side here, and hopefully everybody else will follow along for the Week 15 preview.